Hello, thanks all of you to be there and welcome. I am Karin Dolek and we are talking with Kateryna Radchenko from the Odessa Photo Days. It's our third meeting already and it's been a pleasure to have the two first with the Ukraine photo scene and the story of the festival. It's a project initiated with Boris Eltaxen and Erika Weidmann from the Nine Lives, and the support, the incredible support, thank you so much for that, of the Deutsche Fotografie Akademie, Deutsche or German Deutsche. Thank you so much, guys. It's really nice to have you with us. So today, Kateryna is going to talk about the Ukraine photographers documenting the war. As we all know, there's plenty, thousands of international photographers there right now, but there are also the photographers from Ukraine working on their own city, their own lives. And she's going to present us the pictures and them. Thank you.
Thank you. Hello, everybody, and I'm glad to see all of you. And first of all, I would like to thank Karin, Boris, and Erika for the organization of this 3 meetings. I think it's really important to share some information and news from Ukraine. So thanks a lot that you managed this. And also before I move to my presentation, I would like to say that I'm super happy to see my friends who is now watching also me. It's the chance to see each other. Nowadays it's Zoom, and also to see the people who is already attending this third event. So today I will start to sharing my screen, and today we'll talk a little bit about the war photography and how the documentary photography changed in Ukraine. But before I'll move to this, I would like just a few words to say to that people who maybe wasn't with us the previous time. So that the situation which happens that I'm running the International Photo Festival, Odessa Photo Days, and actually when the full-scale war started in end of February, 21st of February, it was a question that, okay, we have all my team and me as well, we have completely changed our activities and moved to do something maybe useful and to support Ukrainian artists. And actually, we started to collect photo materials from the artists and photographers who is staying in their places in their cities, and we are trying these photos to spread to the different international medias, to make the different publications and made the exhibition. So from one side, this is a possibility to show the stories from Ukraine. From another, it's also a possibility to support Ukrainian artists, because how Karin mentioned that yeah, we have thousands of international media now in Ukraine, but this is the people who is arriving, they're doing their job, they're showing the news, but it's different when the locals can show their stories from their own cities and to show the places from their own cities and when they know the context actually. So today I would like to sharing their photos and to tell a little bit more about the people with whom we are working this 21 days and with whom we are collaborating, and of course it's important every morning, every day I'm checking the folders and I'm checking if there's new pictures, and then to checking to if these people are online, and this is so important to know that they're alive and they're working and they're still it's possible to be in touch to all of them. So I don't know, probably some of you already been in Ukraine before the war. Maybe you have your vision of beautiful country or calm cities, or the cities which are super active and colorful, and Ukraine is very hospitality country. But unfortunately nowadays the surface of country change brutally and extremely. Next time when you arrive to Ukraine, probably you will not recognize the cities, and as well as when we will back to our cities, I'm afraid that it will be completely different story and we will not recognize them, because nowadays it's not about the city, it's about ruins. And of course the worst situation is in the east. The terrible situation is with Mariupol. It's completely destroyed. There's no safe house left. And the same like really bad situation is in Kharkiv, in Ochtyrka. So like it's just like destroying the cities, destroying the culture, heritage, destroying the hospitals, but also like the civilians' houses. So this is how the cities looks nowadays. It's fired, it's broken, it's bombed. So it's just like completely like different perspective. Like it's the same with the villages. Like the villages, it just like there's no, in some villages there's no houses left. It's just like people lose their houses, their flats. And like for today, it's already more than 3 million people civilian people had to move from Ukraine, and it's only females, women, and with kids. It's not allowed for the guys to leave Ukraine. But also like then it's another problem comes that it will be not possible for them, or this question comes, okay, where should they be back when their cities and their houses are completely destroyed? And but I would like to a little bit like to show you how the professional skills were changed for the Ukrainian artist. And I decided like to collect the works of 4 artists, 4 photographers with whom I'm working right now, and to show what they did, what they shoot before the war, and how it was transformed now. So Volodymyr Petrov, a young artist who is based in Kyiv, and he's absolutely fan of the black and white photography, the classical composition, and he's capturing the beautiful stories from the daily life. Like so, each photo is like kind of a small story from the different places of Ukraine. Each of them is like has really like nice perspective and really like classical composition. So it's like he is like shoot and did these photos during like last years, and now he of course like he had to change, and he's still like shooting the daily life, but the daily life changed. So now it's completely different perspective. There's like the heroes of his images like not smiling anymore, like this the people just like completely like different stories and different backgrounds, but still he's focusing on this daily life, but like in different perspective, and shootings like how people struggling and how people dying. Another artist, Mikhail Palinchak. And Mikhail is the photographer of our fifth president, Poroshenko. And because of this, he had access to a lot of international events, political international events. And this series of work, which called bilateral rooms, actually he created because of this special access, like to make the possibility to be and to shoot. These rooms were created for the conversation on the different, like on the political levels, to discussion of the future of countries in Europe, and like and the collaborations between them. Like here's all these rooms, like it's created like to, in the case like to show like kind of rooms where it's quiet, where it's like possible like to make the decisions, where the presidents or like premier ministers from the different countries decided the most important questions, as the questions of defense or the questions of economical perspectives or developing. So the colors of these rooms, it's always only like minimal colors. It's like white and blue, that like everything is super clean and everything is super minimalistic. So just like to have this temporary architecture form for the discussions and for dialogues. And then like again, like when the war starts, he moved his family to Uzhgorod, to the west part of Ukraine, and back to Kyiv to shoot and to continue like to try to focus on the changes which is like now, and the situation which is like now in Kyiv and around the Kyiv. So he's shooting the like for example, this one is Irpin. There was destroyed the bridge, and the people during few days like tried to left the city, like civilians tried to left, and like during these days it was like the bombs, and there was like a lot of people killed by the Russian soldiers, even that it was agreed as a green corridor. Also, like he's showing the completely packed train with a lot of people who is trying to move from Kiev to the west, to the more safe places, and the people who is volunteering for the army, and people who just left their houses. And people who just civilians who were died on the street because of the bombs or rockets. So like he is also like focusing on this capture the moments and like to shooting the war and the situation which is like now what's going on exactly now in Kiev and the surrounding areas. This is like his it was like just a day ago it was completely destroyed residency building in Kiev, and you can see that like nothing left. So just it was a huge fire, and like people left just lost their houses. So again, like he before the war he worked on this more diplomatic political level, but also he is also interesting and working as a street photographer, but now he had completely changed his focus. So the street's still here, but it's different street and different angle and different perspective. Another artist, Alina Smutko, like she's did amazing stories and amazing reportages and the stories about the Tatars and about the people who living in Crimea, especially after 2015 when it was occupied by Russia. And she's trying, like she tried, because like now it's also for her forbidden to go there, but she tried to show the stories from Crimean Tatars and like how their life changed when the Russians arrived, how they had to emigrate and some of them became the refugees in their own land, and so she's also like trying like to visualize this stories and the problems which appears from the 2014 in Crimea. But she was last time when she tried like to come to Crimea, she was refused from the Russian soldiers. So like now she's can't go there till the 2028. But I hope that like Crimea will be back to the Ukraine much more faster. So Alina now she's also staying in Kiev, and actually from the stories of the Tatar community, she moved to the stories of daily life in Kiev, and also like she's trying to capture the moments of these destroyings and the results of the bombs in Kiev every day and collecting these stories. So you can see like from one side, like all these artists there, there's visual connection between the works which they did before the war and which they are doing now. But this moment will be interesting too for the research after the war. Now it's important to see that all these photographers, they had actually to change their topics, and nobody from them didn't want and didn't plan to be the war photographer. They just like have to, because like they're staying in their places in their cities. And this is important, like from one side to show the stories and to show what's going on. From another side, it's also important like to stay to survive, because like when you're not doing nothing and you're not reflecting and you're not using your skills, then it's completely difficult just to stay in the bomb shelter and to wait. It's almost impossible. So, and the fourth artist, it's Pavel Dorogoy. He's actually a photographer and researcher from Kharkiv. And this series, we showed it during Odessa Photo Days a few years ago. And it's this series of work actually based on the archive of one guy, Boris Shetinin. And Boris, actually, he had never been a photographer. It's just a typical Soviet man who used to work on the factory, but as his hobby, he like tried to fix lenses for the cameras, for the Soviet cameras. And because of this hobby, he shoot from his balcony, from his window every day, just to check the lenses. So in his archive, he has a lot of photos, a lot of negatives. There was just shootings from outside, from the balcony and from his window of his house. And actually, for that time, it was 60s and 70s. He used to live in one sleeping area of Kharkiv, like one of the biggest ones. So he just during this 20 years, he collected a huge collection how this area were developed during these 20 years by shootings in different season, in different time, from the different angle. So what Pavel did, he found out this archive and he decided to give the second life, and he decided to really to put all these photos together and to show these changes in time, but also changes in the physical form, and to appropriate these materials and maybe actually to give the second rereading. And also Pavel is really focusing on the architecture forms. So again, we can see it nowadays. Because there's not so many photographers now in Kharkiv. It's quite dangerous to go there, and not so many actually also international media is traveling there. So he's trying to fix everything what's going on in Kharkiv nowadays. And he mentioned that he would like to stay there, and he would really to fix all these changes, how the city destroyed and how the cities change every day. Because for him it's important to have this as also kind of evidence of this thing of the war, and to collect all this materials as a memory, or as a kind of also connect, he's keeping this connection to these changes in the city, and the same how he worked with the archive. So, but also he never worked as a war photographer, and it just the things that the war pushed all these people to become the war journalists and to become the war photographers. And also I would like to show and mention other artists, other photographers with whom we are working during this 20 days. So here is Stas Yurchenko. He is based in Kiev nowadays, but actually he's from Crimea, and he had to move from Crimea when it was occupied, and now he's living in Kiev. Then Kateryna Moskalyuk, she is based in Lviv, and actually she is showing in her photos. This is
I'm sorry, can you just tell us what they are doing? Because I know, but maybe not everybody knows what they are doing right now on the net.
Okay, that's they're doing this. I don't know how it's in English. This
camouflage. They're doing the camouflage.
Yeah, camouflage, this tent which you can then to hide the tanks or hide the important infrastructure in the city. So, and Kateryna is actually trying to show the work of the volunteers, especially in Lviv, in the city where she is basing now. Then Serhiy Hudak, he's from Uzhgorod, is also west part of Ukraine, and Uzhgorod is super close to the Hungarian border. So also Uzhgorod has and every day received a lot of refugees. So he's trying to capture the moments and to show the life of the refugees from the other places and other cities of Ukraine. Then Roman Zakrevsky. Roman is from Chernihiv, and Chernihiv as well. It's a complicated situation there. It's on the north of Ukraine, and it was occupied and still is. For example, yesterday there was a queue of the civilians who stayed to the shop to buy bread, and 10 of them was just killed because they stay in the queue. So it's a complicated situation there. It's super dangerous. So Roman did, if you just some photos from there, which I'm also trying to show and support him. But then he had to spend few days with no connection in the bomb shelter. So, and now it's very dangerous to make any photos from Chernihiv. Then Serhiy Nuzhnenko, he is also based in Kiev, and he is also trying to every day, from morning till evening, just to to see, to fix the all changes, and in Kiev, all the bombs and the results, and the life which is now, how it's developed, how it's going on actually these days. Another one, Maxim Finageev, like he's from Odessa, and actually he's my colleague. We are working together for the Odessa Photo Festival. And nowadays, Maxim is also like helping as a fixer for the international media, but also like here you can see the preparation of the south area, like how it works, because like Odessa have time to prepare the city and to prepare the area around. So like it's every day, it's a lot of works for the preparation of the city.
Kateryna, can you just tell us what it is? Anti-tank engine, right?
Yes, it's anti-tank these things, and they're moving into the field to protect the area that they will not. And actually, like there was like one photo in Odessa. Like if you ever been, like for example, the Rybasovska street, the main street in Odessa, it was completely like by this anti-tank structures, like on these protected things. So yeah, like this is like different things which like people trying like to do, and this is important, like to fix these stories and to really show what's really going on in the different places. Then Yurko Dachyshin, he's from Lviv, and also he is capturing and showing a lot about the life of the refugees, but as well the results of the war, because like a lot of soldiers, of course, like now on the front line from the west part of Ukraine. So there's like he's showing this this procedure, or this cemetery procedure. I don't know how to say this. And another one.
Sorry, a ceremonial, burial.
Yeah, ceremonial. And another one, and the last one, it's Vyacheslav Ratinsky, and he is from Zhytomyr, and as well, like he's like every day I'm having the photos from him from his region, because like it's the city between West and Kiev, so it's like in between, and like it's also were bombed, but also this is important transition place from Kiev to Lviv or to the west, but also like it's quite north, so it's like everything, like all the cities which is like more north to the closer to the Belarus, it's quite dangerous places. So like we are having the photos from his side as well. So this is like the main artists with whom, main photographers with whom I'm working right now. Of course, like every day, like there's like a few photos comes from the others, and also like I'm planning to involve the photos from Mariupol, because there was like two photographers, Ukrainian photographers, who stayed in the occupation, but they managed to leave the city yesterday. I would like also to mention that like during this 21 days, in Ukraine, it was already 5 journalists were killed and more than 10 attempts. And I think it's important, like just like to say their names, because like it's visible when the international journalists or were killed in Ukraine, then it's more visible then, for example, the same happens with Ukrainian journalists. But like it's important because all of them doing the same jobs, and all of them, I really like risk their lives to show the truth and to show the stories. So the journalist Viktor Dudar was lost during the hostilities near Nikolaev. Then live cameraman Yevhen Sakun was killed in Kiev. American photo and video journalist Brent Renault, how you probably know, he also was killed in Irpin, in the Kiev region. Actually, Irpin, that place where the broken bridge was of Mikhail Palinchak. Then a Ukrainian journalist Alexandra Kuvshinova, she was only 24 years old, and she was killed together with Pierre Zakrievsky, who was Irish citizen, and it was happened only like a few days ago. So this is like only 21 days, and it's and it's already like 5 journalists were killed, but also like it's thousands and thousands of civilians. And I would like to, like, of course, like also to mention like that actually it's not war that like has a focus to destroy the infrastructure of the country. It's not the war which tried to focus on the to get the land. No, it's like it's a genocide, because like we can see from the news and from the photos and from the information which we are getting every day from the other cities, it's just genocide, because like bombs comes to the yesterday come to the theater in Mariupol, where was a shelter for the more than 1,000 people, females and kids, and actually there was a sign on the next to it on the written on the ground that there's a kid. So, and it was like, and it didn't stop nobody. There was a bombs which comes to the hospitals, which comes to the like different civilian places, houses. And this is like, it's not about like to get the infrastructure. It's just like to completely like destroy the country and just kill as much as possible civilians. This is by the end, I would like just like to show this photo of Petrov, Volodymyr Petrov from Kiev, because like it's, I think it's kind of also super powerful, because you don't know when it like when the bullet comes to you and like from where, from which side. And I would like also like to remind and to be back to the things what we are doing right now, because like we are trying to collect these photos, but first of all, we're trying to share these photos, because like for us, it's important to show what's going on in Ukraine, to show the stories from Ukraine, but also to support Ukrainian artists who is now on the front line, or who is like now defending their cities by the different possibilities, like with cameras, first of all, like in this way. And so if any publications, magazines, galleries, whatever, if really someone would like to show these photos, like then it's possible to contact us. Like the first is email of the Odessa Photo Days Festival. The second is my private email. So just like can write that you're interested, like to show these photos, and then we can provide all these materials. Like we are not like we are not working as an agency that like we are asking the huge amount of money, whatever. Like we are first of all interested to sharing these stories, but of course, if there's fee is for the artists, it's really will support photographers who is now working on the front line and not has any agreements with the international media agencies. So this was my short short presentation and short information about how the documentary photography had to change in Ukraine during this 21 days. And also like this is I try to show you how like our photographers now is risking every day to bring these stories and to show these stories. So please, if you have any questions or feedbacks,
I will have some. Thank you so much, Kateryna. It was extremely interesting, and I was happy to find some names I was already following. I think it's important to say that we have to find the names and to follow the accounts and to see the stories and to see the pictures and to keep updated on the stories of the Ukrainians, rather than depending all the time from the big news, which are doing their jobs, but two very different channels. My question was how do they live there right now? Are they just being fixers for other photographers? How can they survive?
Most like all the artists, like all the photographers whom I showed, like they're working as a photographers nowadays. Only Maxim is trying to fix sometimes from time to time, but also like he's making his own photos. And I would like to make like thanks for this question, because like I also like wanted to mention that like it's not so easy to shoot nowadays here, because like you need to have accreditation, of course, so like it's like for example, like for me, like I thought about this, like, okay, when the war will starts, like I will take my camera and I'll go on the street. But honestly, like I understood that, like, no, I will not go on the street, because like I can't shoot these materials for myself, like these stories, like, but from another side, I understood that like, that from my side it will be much more useful, maybe like to help to spread the information than like to make photos by myself. But it's important to have the accreditation, otherwise it could be also risk for the photographer if you're shooting whatever without any accreditation. And it's also important what you make the photos and how and what you're showing, because like it's important like not to show too much that it will be not against of our positions.
And how do you know that? How do you know you're showing too much or not?
Well, first of all, like it's also like the materials which I'm receiving. This materials when already like something happened, and it's a result. So it's possible to show the results, but it's dangerous to show geolocations of the positions. And this is what everybody knows from the photography field. They're not making photos of this, but also like we are not even we are not interested to sharing these materials.
Does anybody has other questions? Boris.
Yes, what about the international photographers? Because they could also shoot certain areas of military interest. How do they behave?
Well, honestly, like I can't say about like all of international medias. We can understand that there's like different photographers, different people, and different behaviors. So like it's not possible to control and to know what's going on. But I know the stories from my friends who is like working as a fixer here in Lviv, that like quite often the international medias would like to make the story of the soldiers of their positions, but then fixers saying that it's not possible and trying to control this, that like locations will be not visible and will be like one thing's like to show the portraits, like to show the daily life, but another things to show the surrounding and to show the position. Then it's not possible during the war.
We had a comment from Tina Schellhorn. Tina, would you like to talk yourself? Or
Oh yeah, I just wrote it down because I had no idea if I can talk. Hi, Kateryna. Thank you for all the things you're doing and all the information you're giving us. I just wanted to say, whatever you send me, we will put in Kolga and we will try to make something special out of it. And also, is there any possibility that we can support money-wise the photographers in Ukraine? Is there a PayPal? Is there an account? Whatever we can do, instead of giving money to the Red Cross, we could give it directly to the photographers.
Yeah, like we don't have in Ukraine PayPal, it's not exist, but like what we did, we agreed with one association that like who is able like to collect the donation for the supporting the artists. So like we can provide the bank account of this association, and they're collecting the monies, and like then we are like planning like to spread this money to the photographers in needs. And as well, my organization like doing the same. Like we are like during this 20 days we apply for like 2 grants for the collect money to support the Ukrainian artists, but first of all that one who is on the front line. So like if you need like everybody who needs, like I can provide this bank accounts of these 2 associations.
That was my question. That's the bank account I already have that we were.
You have one, yeah, you have one. It's this DOFA fund, yes, and so it's possible like to send to them. We are collaborating together, and another one. It's my NGO, but like it's a little bit. There needs to be extra documents, so it's better to discuss privately.
So, Kateryna, I put the list you provided to us on the DFR webpage. Yeah, if there's anything new you want me to put online, then just send it to me.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
And yeah, and also like feel free if you wanted like to, if any of your friends, any of your colleagues, any of the people who is like running the NGOs, publications, galleries are interesting to show the war. I know that it's not the pictures when people are interesting to show, honestly. Like it's not that materials which like people will to show, but I think it's important to show it, that like to really to really like provoke to stop it, because otherwise it could be, first of all, it could be much more bigger, and second, it's better to stop it now as soon as possible before it will have worst influences.
Yes, I don't know what to say, because of course we would all like to have it stop the quicker we can. How can we all help that narrative? Because for me it's more a narrative also from the Ukrainian side, to show things from the inside, from the eastern side. Alina Smutko, if I'm not right, if I'm not wrong, is a woman, and she's also a Muslim, isn't it?
Yes, she's Muslim, right?
And because I'm following her, we did a first list, and I saw that very quickly, because she has a very measured and subtle way of showing the world around. She made pictures of the photojournalist still at work during the first days of the war, and that was very heartbreaking, because nobody was looking at them. The photojournalists from the journalists from Ukraine still on their desk 24 hours on 24 hours and working to spread the news. So she's doing an amazing job documenting everyday life of everyday people, and exactly those who the international journalists don't see, because they're here to see something they want to see. So is there anything we can do, like sending this talk to people from the media we know, trying to promote the photographers? Just give us some hints, practical hints that we can do us.
Well, I think that like it's all the activities will be useful. It's like from one side, of course, like it's important like to also like to talk and to show this artist like who is now working on the front line, and who is like trying, or even not in the front line, but still like working here in the field. From another side, of course, like it's important, like maybe like to try to give them the voices, like to show their stories, because like as you mentioned, yeah, like this is important, that like sometimes the local photographers can see the stories differently, but also to see the completely different possibility to tell the stories, because they're living here and they know the language and they know the context. So it could be completely like different perspective, which could be like important to show it like in the international field. So like in this case, I think it's also like important, like just like to give the voices like by the different ways which is possible. So everything like I believe that like, you know, step by step, like drop by drop, and it will be the ocean, and like step by step, and we'll make a huge changes. So every like every step is really help, and it's really support and support these changes.
I think I ask all my questions. If anybody has some, please, you feel free, because it's our last talk with Kateryna. It's not our last talk about Ukraine, because we have others coming next week, unfortunately, but this great talker that we had for free talks it's her last minute. So please enjoy.
Or you can write email if you want more privacy.
If you are shy and want more privacy, please do. But if you want to talk to her now, it's now. No, nobody wants to talk to you, Kateryna.
I just want to say hi. My name is Stefan. I'm listening from New York, and yeah, this is great. I'm wondering why there's not not more people on this, because it's you know, I shared it too late, and maybe others too. But this is so interesting, and
it's recorded, so everybody can see it afterwards.
all
Yeah.
right. No, it's cool. I'm so glad you're doing this, and I'm really, you know, what can I say? I'm so touched, and being far away is not helping. I mean, this is so close to all of our hearts, and sometimes I'm wondering, especially from the foreign correspondents, I like these pictures so much more because they're coming from the inside, and I always wonder about the New York Times and all these other medias, how they present every war like in the same way. You know, I mean, it's you're looking at war pictures. I mean, I'm not surprised about any of it. You know, I'm not nothing. You know, we see one war after another, and the pictures are basically all the same pictures. You know, but these are like coming more from, yeah, again, from the inside. It's such a, they may even look the same at times, but they feel different, you know. I don't know how to say this. The international media always thinks they're changing things, but they're not really, because we are so used to seeing that type of language, visual language. And don't get me wrong, I think it's extremely important to document all of this, but what we really want is change, right? I want to stop this. So I hope maybe you can put up a list of Instagram accounts of Ukrainian photographers or something like that, so people go more into these, because I don't, in the international media, I don't see much of Ukrainian photographers at all, which I find pretty sad.
I have to cut, because if you get to complete more what you're saying, because it's very, very interesting. But if you look wisely, I think the New York Times, or the Times, I don't remember, made a world diary with a lot of young photographers from Ukraine.
Right.
And we ourselves 2 weeks ago published some list, and there are a lot of, now they are trying to put photographers from Ukraine or Russia or Georgia or whatever first, but it's very difficult, and you know how it works.
You gotta, you know, I'm a photographer, I'm not an editor. But you have to look, you have to search for it, you know. It's like for the general public, they kind of, I mean, we know how to find these things, you know. That's why I'm here, for instance, to see alternative channels, you know. But the general public, that's what is important, not us. I mean, we are like the insiders. Who cares, you know? I mean, don't get me wrong, but we can spread this. But more importantly is that the general public gets to see it. So anyway, we can all help, I hope.
Yeah, I agree that like this process change a little bit like nowadays, and nowadays a little bit like more like Ukrainian photographers became more visible. But yeah, this is a process. Like I agree that like it's not so many Ukrainian photographers like on the international media, and this is completely like just last things that I would like to add, that like when we have 8 years of the war, but like when it was like in Donbass, it was different, because like it was completely different way of make the photos. You're getting the accreditation, you're going there, you're going from the newspaper, you have a task, but more or less you're like kind of safe place, because it wasn't so active and it was different. But now all these photographers, they're shooting their own cities, and this is completely different, because like it's different feelings. You can see that this is like much more intimate and much more really like stories from their own perspective, because like it's not just to shoot the war, it's to shoot how your city destroyed, and like to be all the time in this situation. So like I think it's yeah, exactly, give a little bit different perspective and visual story.
Like I really loved those pictures from the balcony of the guy who changed, who fixed lenses, and just, you know, if you had that kind of view and then seeing the destruction of war, I hope that is in that series too. That would really blow me away, you know, and goes closer than seeing Anthony, what's his name, Cooper on CNN, and you know what I mean? It's like those type of works are you know, yeah, they are real, you know, like.
Maybe at the end we can have a call to action for everybody who is in here or who will see and watch the video later. If you know an editor, send them this video and send them the contact to Kateryna.
Good point.
Yeah.
Thank you, everybody, that you've been together with us. And I would like one more time to thanks to Karin, Boris, and Erika that you organized this meeting, Ukrainian Meetings, and that you really like a little bit open more about Ukrainian photography, and that we have this possibility to share our stories and the knowledge from Ukraine. So thanks a lot for this.
Wait, Stefan Falco is showing something, but we don't know what it is.
It's a mural here in New York, and I took a little time lapse of it with the shadow, so it's opening up.
Mhm.
Okay,
Oh,
thank you.
We're thinking of you here, even in New York.
Thank you so much. And again, thanks, Kateryna. You've been amazing. We're keeping touch anyway, and thanks everybody to be there. And more Ukrainian photographers and Ukrainian cultural operators are coming next week for different perspective and to show them all that we think about them and that we want to spread informations about culture and art and identity from Ukraine, that it's a country we care about. Thank you. Thanks, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
Bye.